Hey, good morning. Give you guys a chance to find my live that I'm just popping up on. I told you, the folks that are following me here that know that I do regular lives on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, that this weekend, because it is entirely too cold here in Atlanta right now, I'm home for the weekend because I really don't want to be out and about. I'm not wearing my contact lenses. I'm down here in my terrace level workshop, just working on different projects because it's an opportunity to be indoors and not be outside where it's freezing cold. I'll probably venture out this afternoon just a little bit. And over the weekend, I've been working on a project that I've been sharing with you guys during these various lives that I've been popping up with this morning. Those of you who joined Friday, yesterday, and now may be joining today may recall that I've had technical difficulties because right now I'm operating with an iPhone that's acting as my camera, which I think you guys can see me and everybody can hear me. Hello, Alan. I think Alan can hear me just fine because no one's saying I can't hear you. So that's a good thing. But my monitor, which is right here, that's large so I can read wonderful notes like what Alan just said, sometimes just decides to freeze. And so I don't know if it was the way I had it connected. I bought a new piece of technology that was double the price of the technology I bought before, and it's too late to return the first piece of technology, so I've got that issue as well. So this morning, to bring you guys, hey Jody, to bring you guys, you can see me. I'm here, yes, and I'm wearing I told you guys things that I love. This is that Sherpa shirt jacket from Flag and Anthem. I'm not endorsing those guys. I love their stuff, but I'm not paid in any way to talk about their clothing. But I'm wearing this morning. It is super warm. There's very little opportunity here in Atlanta to wear something like this. So when I can, I pop it on. And you guys have seen me in this thing several times because down here in this basement, it's a little chilly and I like to be warm. I am not a person who enjoys being cold. It's an assault to this old man body. So I prefer to be warm. I like a few palm trees, actually. So that's who I am. But this Sherpa is Flag and Anthem. It is amazing, and I love this thing. It has pockets. This is not a fashion show, and that's not what this is about. But anyway, so why I'm here, why I'm back on this live, the project that I'm working on is this clock. I call it a clock cabinet. Those of you here on the live have said this is a clock case. I'll take either. So yes, today is definitely Doxy Mom, the day to be wearing snuggly clothes for sure, and this is snuggly. I've just got a simple t-shirt on underneath this and I'm wearing some jeans, which works, but I also have on my Hey Dude boots, which evidently guys my age like. I think that's who's wearing this stuff. Anywho, so this is the clock case. I'm going to start calling it that because I got corrected and I think that person's probably right. I made a big mistake, guys. You know, we were working on this yesterday and we were determining the gold, which has been done, and that's finished. I did that kind of little bit of, what do you call it, weathering look to it, blackened in the corners, just to make it look older. We're trying, as you know, if you were with me yesterday, we're trying to match this, so I think we did a pretty good job. You guys helped me kind of determine that was working, so that's where we're headed. But what I did after the live yesterday is I went ahead and did the poly seal. And I had two cans, well, I had a can of poly. I had this can of Varathane. You guys see the word there? What does it say? It says Ultimate Polyurethane. Yeah, Bobby, I'll share those few things. It's not a lot to see. It's a lot of dead leaves and sticks right now. And because it's 15 degrees outside, that garden is whooped, let me tell you. I'm sure there's things that are dead to the ground, and I doubt I'll have hydrangea blooms this year because I did not take the extra steps to wrap and protect those hydrangeas that bloom from old wood. So that old wood is probably dead to the ground, which is, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, this polyurethane, what does it say? Oil-based. This person right here did not pay attention to that. I did my polyurethane with my oil base yesterday, and if you know, you know, and you already are ahead of me what I'm about to say next. It wasn't going on very smoothly. It just because it's older and the nozzle was acting weird, so I said, I'll go to Lowe's and grab a can. So I did, and I really wanted Minwax. So I bought this. What does it say right under Minwax? It says water-based. I put a water-based polyacrylic on top of an oil-based polyurethane. Anybody care to guess what happened? I'm waiting. Operators are standing by, waiting for your guesses. What happens if you put water on top of something oil? Exactly, Doxy. That's all you need to say is yuck. That's what happened. And thankfully, the great God of clock cases was looking out for me. I only did the top of this, and you can see I've had to sand it this morning. I've been working on it. I've been trying to get that polyacrylic off the top of it, and that's about as good as I can get. Yeah, bubbled up. Yes, as a matter of fact, it's, you know, when you say it bubbled, it literally bubbled. We're talking about bubbles formed, plastic bubbles were on top of this thing. You can kind of see some of the marks where the bubbles were. It was, I was using the blow dryer, my old Vidal Sassoon blow dryer, to dry it quickly so I could be prepared for this morning's live so we can move on in this process. And it blistered is what happened. And I was like, damn it. And so I started sanding and cleaning, and so this morning I've got it to this point. So this is what it looks like. It's a cautionary tale. That's why I'm sharing it with you guys, to let you know. Please, if you're doing work like this is chalk paint, and sometimes people don't put poly on top of chalk paint. They'll use wax on it, and that's what I'm sure hardcore chalk paint people do. As you know, if you follow me, I always say that because I say the same things 100,000 times. I have made about 3,500 pieces of lighting, many of them in clock cabinets or clock cases like this over the years, for about 20 years, and I have been doing this process for a long time. This is the first time in nearly 20 years that I have not read the can. I don't know what I was thinking. I think it's too cold here. My brain was frozen, but I learned my lesson, so it's a lesson for you. If you're sealing with polyurethane, start with water-based, finish with water-based. If you're starting with oil, start and finish with oil. However you do it, don't mix the two. They don't mix because it is what we call a disaster. But this is just a rustic cabinet. If you're just joining, I see a few people are coming through. Maybe you don't know what I'm doing. We're turning this clock case into a diorama. I'm going to show you just for the sake of showing you. Stick around for a second. I'm going to grab the components. This is a wood floor that I made. If you were here yesterday and the day before, you've seen this 100 times. I apologize, but there's always new people in these lives, and I have to show them what we're doing so that they too can enjoy the Nerd Fest that's going on here. So what I'm doing is creating a floor inside. You can see that. There's the floor. Then there's going to be a back on it, which I've already made. And guys, since yesterday I worked on the fireplace, so I've already kind of created the fire. There are LED, there's the wires, and you can see the diodes right there. Those are flickering orange diodes that are in the back of the fireplace, which I'm going to fit those in there now. And I just did this yesterday, so say your prayers that everything's going to fit, and it does. So those diodes are hidden behind the little fire in the fireplace, and those will flicker, and they will light up that crepe paper. And the crepe paper is just leftovers from a Halloween decoration. So I just keep stuff like that if it's kind of cute. And I'll put it in my little Ziploc bag, and later on I can use it for some project like this. So there's the little fireplace. That'll be a flickering fireplace. There's going to be some wall sconces and some other lighting, and a small Christmas tree will be in here. And you'll have this glass front, which is the peephole, and you can look into the diorama. Some people on here have compared it to The Borrowers, if you're familiar with that story. I think it was an animated series in the 1970s. I wasn't around back then. I was born in the 80s. Anyone want to jump in on that? I was around, trust me, in the 70s. I was also around in the 60s. I was not around, however, in the 50s. The Borrowers was an animated show, and it's really cute, about mice that lived under the floorboards, and this is kind of similar to that. I always thought that was kind of magical, and I enjoyed it. So I'm popping out the components. What I'm going to do here, and this live is not going to be my typical 2 hours. I've been on here for just a few minutes. I'm not going to stick around here for 2 hours again today. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to leave the house because I've been home all weekend, so I've got some things I have to go do. But because I'm down here working, I have my stuff set up. I'm going to share it with you. What I'm doing right now, instead of working on the paint, because I'm going to be, hello to you, Crush. So I'm taking that as exactly what you mean. So yes, it's very kind of you to have a crush on Gramps. So I take that as a compliment. That means that Grandpa might still have it, you know? You never know. So this wall sconce, this little sconce here, I'm going to be installing this onto one of the side walls. Now what I didn't show you is in here, you can see on the back, Here's the back of it. And I've used this this is a crinkled paper. It's an iridescent paper that is for a scrapbook. So if you're in Michael's or something and you go, yeah, borrow houses. I so love that, RJ. Thanks for sharing that. Yes, absolutely. So this crinkled paper here is scrapbook paper you can get at Michael's. If you go down the scrapbook paper aisle, if you want to do a project like this, I'm working with foam core, as you can see, which has a foam core. And this also is your craft store. It's very easy to cut and shape and to get it into shapes like you like it or need it. The fireplace is also made out of foam core. It's covered with some different papers. But what this is, I will get back to the wall. This crinkled paper is iridescent on one side, but I'm using the back of it because I think it looks like plaster work. Hello, Milton. Milton, North Carolina. What is that near? Give me a big city, because I'm not familiar. I know Milton, Georgia, which is just north of the Atlanta metro. But yeah, I'm thinking this gives it a plaster look. What do you guys think? This is your chance to send up hearts. Just tap that screen if you think it looks like it. Does it look like plaster work? Tap the screen. Show me some hearts. I don't think my microphone's on. Thank you for the hearts. Okay, so we know we're here. All right, I was just about to tap end live. Thanks for saving it. Hey, Kim H. Raleigh, Durham. Okay. Fuquay Varina. Is that how you say that? I think that's close to Raleigh. That always cracked me up because it was such an odd name. I don't even know what it means. I should look it up so I can learn something new. But I think it's Fuquay Varina or Varina or something like that. I think it's probably Varina. I think we're gonna err on the side of caution. Anyway, yes, so this is my plasterwork. So what I did is I created sidewalls. So in here, we've got the back you just saw, and then I've got these ends. You see the ends over there? I've got to create sidewalls because when you look in there, you don't want to see the ugly inside of the clock case. You want to see walls. So I've already made the walls. This is what they look like. Here's the two side walls, and these are the corners that I've already put together, which are going to be the corners, which you see in the front, okay? My glasses are an irritation. Sliding down my face. So anyway, what we're going to do is install a wall sconce onto one of these. I'm going to show you the technique I use for putting 12-volt dollhouse lighting, which is what it is, with foam core. Because a lot of times when people are dealing with dollhouse lighting, like what I use, this 12-volt system, and this will be an external transformer, by the way. It's operated, I've already put in the port. You see the port right here? This port is where you'll plug in your transformer, into the wall, and then you plug in your piece here, and that's what will turn on all the lights inside of this. And there'll be a micro switch back here too that I have not yet installed. But typically they're installing that dollhouse lighting in a dollhouse, which is made of wood. I'm working with foam core because it's easy, and I'm going to show you how I do the wiring inside the wall with foam core. So that's what we're going to do today. Thank you for that flying heart and whatever that is. Thank you for the gifts, guys, for throwing those out here. And I love doing these lives. It's super fun to share with you. And I notice that my classroom for my lives typically holds about 80 people. So right now we have no empty seats. We did currently have standing room only because we were at 120. So about 40 people were standing in the back. They've left the room. So it's just us 80 people here in the live. So thank you, Lori. Thanks for sending the roses. I appreciate it. It's cold everywhere in this country right now. I think a lot of you hopefully are snuggled up in a nice chair, or you're out on you're on a sectional. You've got a little cover on you, and you're drinking coffee or tea, and you're just watching me blab on about a little project in my basement. I hope that's happening. I hope that's what you're having today. So anyway, clock cabinet. I'm going to set this thing to the side because we're going to talk about electrical right now. That's where we're going to move to. As I showed you earlier, this is the little sconce. These are little glass things, glass shades on there, and they're also replaceable bulbs, which you can just unscrew and change. So if they burnt out on you, which is unlikely because you're going to be typically lighting this thing a few times during the Christmas season, you're probably not going to have burnout bulbs, but it does happen. They could be loose too, so you can easily change those out. They come typically with adhesive on the back. This is some 3M adhesive. I'm going to be removing that because I will be hot gluing this thing into place once I've prepared my sidewall. And this is my sidewall, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to bring my clock cabinet back to the workbench. I'm going to install my floor. There's my floor installed. I want to determine on this side up back in here how high I want the sconce to be on the sidewall. So I'm going to determine that now by installing a panel. It always gets screwed up here. There it is. You can see it's installed. And I'm thinking the wall sconce is probably going to go kind of high. So let me get it and see. I'm trying to do this looking in my monitor. So I'm thinking the wall sconce could be a little high, like maybe right there. So I think I'm going to use that spot. I'm going to mark it, take it out. So there's where I'm going to be placing it. I'm going to set that down very carefully. Move this out. Return the floor to its rightful place. Have you made a mini version of your beautiful home? You know what? That is a good question. I could probably if I put my mind to it. My spouse that I've talked about in other lives does pastel to pass the time and has done. And I think that stuff is over here. And I believe that there's already a pastel of the house, which is pretty awesome. It's already been done. So it's something that we're both inspired by, actually, by this Southern Living house that a gentleman built, and we get to play in for however long we play in it. So that's it. So there's kind of where I'm going to put it, center it. You know, and I'm just thinking, as I'm considering this, I'm wondering if in here, let me check something real quick. I'm going to make sure that when you're looking in the window, you don't, and my monitor just went off. So I cannot stand this thing. I've got new technology coming. I knew it would do that. That piece of hoo-hoo. I'm so upset because it's so difficult to see what I'm doing, but I'm going to deal with my phone, guys. I apologize. The new technology will be here sometime today, not in time for this live, unfortunately. What I'm saying about this, though, this wall sconce placement, when you look in that window, I want to make certain that the sconce isn't too far to the front so you can't see it. You want to have the experience of looking in there and seeing it when you look in the for lack of a better word, the portal in the front. So I'm going to stick this back in there, and you can kind of see it. I think if I moved it to probably, when you look in there, probably a little bit towards the back. So that's what I'm going to do. Forgive me if I'm not following up with you guys. See Jody saying, I see and hear you. Thank you for both of those comments. So what I'm doing is marking my spot. That's where my wall sconce is going to be. I'm going to take my handy dandy pencil. This is a pencil. And I'm going to mark my spot like so. What I've got to do now is make a hole here, but I don't want to put my hole all the way through. What I typically try to do is put my wiring inside the wall. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Now, in the case of this clock cabinet, this is going to be hidden. This backside you won't ever see, and it's going to be hidden, and the wire will be, right, could be on the outside, which is super easy. So you could do that. I could do it here. I actually could just have my wire on the outside. But because I'm doing this live, and I want to show you how to work with foam core, if you want to build something, like typically I'm building under something glass, something much bigger than this, but I'm building under a cloche where you can see all sides of it. If you're doing that, which you know you can look at my history and see that I do it, you don't want to have your wires on the outside because you'll actually be able to see it, because this is the inside and the outside of your structure. So I usually put the wires on the inside so you can't see them, but I'm going to do it again here so I can show you how to do it. Alrighty. So first things first, what I work with is a drill bit. You can get these at Home Depot. Yes, they make drill bits this long. So you just get one of these. They're not inexpensive, but it's to the right diameter. And the diameter is the width of this foam right here, because I'm going to be making a hole, not with a drill, but with my hands. I'm just going to slowly be turning into it, and I'm lining it up with the mark I made. So like that. So I'm going to start down here, and I'm going to slowly turn, pull it out, turn, pull it out, turn, and work my way to this point. But I want to make sure I make a mark here first so I know where to stop. So that's what I'm going to do. Again, I'm just working with my hands. I'm not working with any drill. You don't want to do that because you will go right through this foam core, as you can imagine. A lickety split, as my grandma used to say. All right. See what I did? All right. It is a delicate process. Indeed it is. Yes. Thanks for sticking around. Our classroom size is now 71, so 9 people have left the building. Guys, I do my best to entertain. I'm doing my best. This part is going to be the most boring thing you've ever seen. So what I'm doing now is just twisting in. Was anybody on my live yesterday that's here right now? Were you here on the live yesterday morning? Lori, thank you for being a person who is letting people know that tapping the screen is very helpful. So Sharon, you were here yesterday morning. Yeah, I know, Alan. Sometimes you do, and sometimes you have important things to do and you have to leave. I understand that too. Thank you, Alan. Fun but relaxing. I'm glad to hear that. So people were here yesterday. So what did I call myself yesterday? I called myself a nerd, didn't I? Were you guys here for that when I said I'm a nerd? First timer. Kimberly, yesterday I called myself a nerd. I'm a nerd because I think this kind of behavior, for lack of a better word here, this is behavior, is it's nerdly. You know, this is not your typical thing that people do. This is making miniatures is a nerdly thing. So what I'm doing is kind of easily, slowly making my way into this foam, and as I get in there, I'm turning it backwards and I'm turning it forwards in and out. I'm not yanking it through there. I don't want to tear it. So, and when I do this, I'm just knocking a little bit of foam particles out so I can clear a channel through there. Oh, I want to tell you something else. Typically, this is my go-to for mounting my paper to my foam core. I just use a spray mount, and I love the Scotch brand stuff typically. There's an issue with this though. Always put your lid back on, by the way, after you use it, because your nozzle will get dried out and clogged and it will no longer spray. I learned that the hard way. Been doing this a long time. But I think there must be a temperature on this or something, because I think it's a little too cold, so it's been acting up and things have not been sticking very well. I changed to this. I'm going to try this stuff out. I found this at my favorite craft store here in town, which is Michael's, and I'm going to try it. Tacky spray. I don't know if anybody's used it before. What's great about this stuff is you can cut your pieces like this, spray them. I put them down here on another spot with a piece of paper where I can just make sure I spray over this. My overspray is caught, and it creates a space where you can glue this stuff on. What made me think of that is this piece is coming up in the corner a little bit, as you can see, because my spray mount is not behaving. Yeah, we all are a bit nerdy in our own ways, yes. But I've always embraced, well, I shouldn't say I've always embraced it, because I didn't like being made fun of in school because of my weirdness, which was weird. Other kids were doing things together and playing basketball and stuff, and I was planting next year's flower garden and vegetables and playing with trains. I'm not kidding. I had model trains as a kid. I begged for those things and pleaded for those trains every single Christmas. If there wasn't a train in my Christmas, somebody was going to be knowing I didn't have a good Christmas. But later on in my life, when I was in my 30s, the house that I owned at that time, I was lucky enough to have a train room, and I actually got it all out of my system. I built the entire, the layout, the bench, the mountains, the towns, the whole kit and caboodle. I built it all. So I got it completely out of my system. I still have some of my train stuff, but I have no desire to be building any trains or anything like that anymore. This is what I do, and as I said yesterday, this is my therapy. This is what keeps my brain clear. This is what, when I don't feel so good about things and I'm feeling a little crappy about myself or whatever, or I'm trying to figure something out and I get a little dark, which I'm known to do, I'll do a project like this, and look at this. You guys can already see what I did. You can see by the bit going in that I'm just taking the bit all the way up to, let me get it up there. I don't know if you guys can see. Let me see if I can get you a glint. I don't know if you probably can't see that, and I can't see on my screen anymore, but there you can see the tip of the drill bit there. So I've got a hole here from the place my wire's going to go in all the way out the bottom of my wall. Yes, working with your hands is great therapy. And like I said yesterday, also keep a dry paintbrush around to brush off the dirt. Guys, I'm going to step just to the side for a second. I'll be right back. This is another item you want to keep in your work area. It doesn't have to be Dyson. It just happens to be Dyson. But you can vacuum up your mess. I like to keep the work area kind of clean. Like I said, I've built thousands of pieces over the years. I used to sell these things full time, and my workshop used to look like a mad scientist workshop. If I'm really in the mode of creation, it does get messy. I'm lucky if I vacuum the space, and there's piles of stuff on either side of my work area, whatever I'm working on. From that heap, the phoenix rises and is the piece that I've created. There's some of my old stuff here, that stuff that has not sold, and all of those 3 pieces I made from things, and that's kind of what I do. So anyway, I'm keeping this clean and tidy because I've got people watching me. So when you buy this lighting, it has a plug on it because it's designed to work with a system, whatever brand this is, I can't remember. They have a system, but I don't do that. I direct wire my stuff myself. So I'm going to cut off this plug. And I'm doing that with a pair of nice scissors. I usually keep these around. These are my shop scissors from my other studio, which is my art studio. This is the craft table that I'm working at right now. I know it sounds like a lot, but listen, let me tell you, don't judge, because I'm not a traveler. I don't go on cruises. I've been to Europe, but I don't want to go back to Europe. I'm not interested in going up the river to Prague or something like that. This is how I spend my extra money. I make spaces for myself to create at home. I have a very nice treadmill that I get on. So I'm not spending thousands on travel. Some of you love to travel, and that's where you spend your money. Maybe you love to dine out and you spend your money there. I just happen to spend the money that I have that's extra on things like craft tables and art studios and things like that, because this is here for me 24/7, 365 days a year. I can come down here anytime that I need to. So I just don't want you guys to think I'm I'm on here showboating all my craft table and my art studio, and I've got this and I've got that, and I'm just so amazing. It's really not that. I'm saying that because on TikTok, I started doing videos just on a lark because I thought this will be fun just to show some flowers and stuff. And it's kind of grown into what it is now. Now I'm doing these live broadcasts 2 times a week. I've done 3 this weekend. It's just crazy. But it's not because I want to show off. I'm just here because it resonates with folks. I've made some good friends here, made some really good connections, and people want to see this stuff. Maybe you want to try it yourself. Maybe you've never done it. Maybe you're afraid to do it. Who knows? But you can do it, and you just have to start. Let's say because you know the number, I've made 3,500 pieces of lighting. Okay? They're hanging somewhere. They're in people's houses. They're in businesses. They're in movies and TV shows. Okay? I've done that. But for the 3,500 pieces that were a success, there's probably another 5,000 pieces that were made that went to the scrap heap. That either were made, I thought they're cheesy, or someone else thought they never sold. I had to take them apart and make them into something else. If I walked you over there now and took you through the dream garden, as I call it over there, because it's full of inspiration pieces. Some of them probably were parts of things that I made that just didn't make the cut. They just weren't well received by me or someone else. So you're gonna have failures. That's how you learn. That's how you learn. So anyway, so here's my wire. Here's my little sconce. I've taken off the plug. So next I'm going to, yes, I have an Instagram. I don't maintain my Instagram anymore, but it's under Bencliffe, Benclif Designs. Hold, please. And a back. Here you go. Bencliffe Designs. You'll see this logo if you're on Instagram. So look for that, Benclif. Bencliffe was my artist name. The LLC, as I said yesterday, was dissolved at the end of 2023. So Bencliffe as a business no longer exists, but Bencliffe as an artist exists. But my new moniker has kind of happened here on TikTok. It's now Artful Roger. I've kind of changed things. So Bencliffe made these things. Artful Roger is working more at the craft table, and Artful Roger is doing videos about gardening. This assemblage I'm working on today, and also there's one other thing. I'm sorry, guys. So yes, that's it. So you can find me on Instagram. I think my Instagram following is like 1,000 people or something like that. But it's not, hasn't been updated in a while. But I do recommend, if you're interested in my assemblage, take a look at it. The last video I posted is of a piece of animated assemblage I did, which is upstairs. I think it's the most amazing piece I've ever made, and I'm not talking about me. Here, let me explain that to you, because that sounded conceited. Listen, when I make stuff, it isn't about me. It's about a compulsion to create something, and it comes from in here. I need to make something. It happens. And for instance, this clock cabinet, this little guy here was at an antique store, looked like a heap, in Charleston, South Carolina, 1 year ago, last January. I was there. I saw it in the store. It was $35. I saw it on this little on a rack. I'm like, I'm just going to get that because I really liked it. It kind of spoke to me. It's like, I want to be something. Can you help? It was sort of like that. A voice very similar to that. So I buy that thing, and it sits in my inspo area, my inspiration garden over here, if you will, and it's where it was. It's been over there for a year. Still had the price tag on it, hanging on it until just recently. One day, I see it just recently, and I went, oh my God, I know exactly what I'm going to do with it. I knew exactly. So it ended up here on the craft table, and I showed it to you guys when it ended up on the craft table to show you what was going to start happening. And then it just starts coming. The ideas keep happening. The wood floor, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was looking at the ceiling. I'm not joking. I have a projection clock on the ceiling that says 3:30 a.m. I usually wake up around 2. I'm looking at 2 a.m. and I have this idea. I'm like, I can make a wood floor and I can stain it with shoe polish. And I completely worked it out in my head. It already was made here before I ever made it. These things I'm just compelled to do, so I do it, and that's why I'm sharing it. So when I tell you that is the most amazing thing I've ever made, take a look at that Instagram video. Ben Cliff Designs, and look at that animated piece. It's under glass. It has electric motors in it that move it. There is a piece of mechanics in there. You'll see it. Just look at it. It's upstairs in my dining room. It's on the buffet in the dining room. I've been there since the summer when I finished it. I'm having my love affair with it right now because I'm just as amazed as anyone else. So my wire is all the way through. See that? And you too can do this. Yes. Yeah, thanks, Ange. And yeah, and Mary, thank you for saying that too. I've told you guys, if you've been watching me, I always say that if you've been watching me, because the funky thing about lives is that people come and go. You know, we've got about 80 people, but I've got 120 people. Some people have never seen me before. I just pop up in their live and they're like, who is this dude? And they stay around for about 17 seconds and say, I'm out of here. But they don't know a lot about me. But I did get accused. People do send me messages that I get 99% positive, 99%. Some of them are just phenomenally positive. Some people just really have opened their hearts to me, and it's been such a transformative experience for me to experience such kindness from people, to really see the positive side of humanity. I mean, that's really what I'm experiencing here on TikTok. That's been my experience. But there are less than 1% things that are negative that come across. And one of the things that came across that really hit me kind of hard is said that I was showboating, and that I don't know, basically showing off. We know what showboating is, but there was another term they used, that I was self-aggrandizing. That stuff really, I'm not inviting that. I'm not inviting anyone who's popped into this live to send me ugly comments, because I delete, and if you get ugly with me and stay ugly, I'll block you. So I do have that ability here, and I will use it if I have to. I don't want to be abused, but I will take that kind of constructive criticism, and I do think about those kinds of things. So I have really thought about that. I'm not showboating. I'm not showing off. I don't think I'm better than anyone else. I'm just telling you, this is how I live my life. This is how I find joy in this existence, which, as we know, it is a hard place to be. It really is, because I think we come here as babies, and we grow up as children, and we're in a world that can be bewildering to us. We are at the mercy of the adults around us. We have to figure it out on our own. We have to learn how to deal with playground bullies. We have to learn what love is. We have to learn what love isn't. We have to find our way through this. And that's all cliche. There's lots of books written about it, lots of movies and lots of poetry written about the thing I just said in all kinds of ways. But at the end of the day, we all have to find something from which we can find joy and find it and have it in our lives. And this is how I do it. I'm glad you guys like what I do. I'm glad that you like me as a person. That's awesome. But it's not here for me to be blown up, have my ego all stroked so that I can feel really good about myself. I'm happy to share it. And if you want to learn it, I will teach it to you. And that's what I'm trying to do here, is show you how to do it. So there's my loosey-goosey light fixture. See, and that's just not going to work, right? So what I'm going to do, this has about 150,000 miles on it. I love this little glue gun. It's low temp. That's what I work with. High temperature guns. I have the scars to show that they exist. Don't use them. Just use a low temp, because this will protect your stuff. So what I'm going to do is put the glue into the hole. So when I pull the wire up tight, it will hold the wire in place and it will hold the sconce in place. So let me do that. Putting my glob of glue on. I'm going to push my sconce up there. Pray that it's straight. Sometimes the glue is a little temperamental and it won't grab to the paper or something like that. And the other thing I don't like is all the stringiness of a glue gun. Those are not fun. Mary Dawn, thank you for saying that. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to address that, Elena, or Elaine H, I think is your name. I am going to be 60 very soon. So I'm at the very end of my 50s. As you know, if you're my age or older, you do change and your perspective changes. Of course it does as you get older and you begin to see things so differently. And as I look back over the years of my life, the decades that I've been here, I do think about those times when I was a little kid, around elementary school, probably around age 10, stuff like that. And the playground things, we call them playground bullies, but, things happen. I probably bullied people myself and don't remember it. And I was bullied. But I remember that my mom wanted to take care of it for me, but my dad was more wise about it and knew that I needed to take care of it for myself. Because what I've learned in these decades I've been here on the planet is that it doesn't ever change. What you learn on the playground as a kid is exactly what you're going to face in high school. It's the same stuff you face in college. It's the same stuff you face in the workplace. It's the same stuff you face with your in-laws and your family. That dynamic it's the human experience. And parents who allow their children to learn those things and guide them and help them try to navigate those things very early in life, you can set some very good foundations for dealing with conflict throughout your life. Because just today, I saw a TikTok this morning that said, there are some people who are never going to like you no matter what you do, because they perceive for themselves that you're better than they are, and they can never help you. If you fell down, they wouldn't help you up. That's just because they can't. And I think that's how we are as humans. That's just how we're experiencing this, going through this thing we call life. But I'm kind of rambling on here and waxing very grandpa-ish. I'm taking the old flannel dad route here, but that's how I kind of see it. So I think if you have small children, I'll give them the chance to figure those things out. Yeah. And true, Alan, they are, and perhaps they are. Myself, when it comes to jealousy, it's something that I have to manage myself, and I have to I question myself about things. I just really look at it and say, is this jealousy? What's happening here? I need to deal with this, because it's not about the person. And you have to work those things out your whole life. It never changes. And I guarantee you, if the day comes, I'm pretty sure of this, that I end up in some nursing home somewhere, or I'm in a extended care, or whatever happens, the dynamics of that environment are probably very similar to what I experienced in the playground and throughout my life. There will be conflicts and there will be stuff that I'll have to deal with there as well. So that's just life. That's how it works. Yes, hope, it is the wisdom of age, is what I would call it. Yes, it definitely is. I'm lucky, I think, I say that I'm still here. I have friends from high school, people that I knew in elementary school. They're not here anymore. Had a very dear friend who didn't even get to 50. He died at 49, colon cancer. So those people have already checked out and had their opportunity. I'm still here. I'm still doing it. And I'm trying to find joy in my life. And I'm finding it in all kinds of ways. But right now, I'm showing you that I'm finding it doing this. So here's the wall sconce. What I'll do later is I'll be preparing this right here. No, I have not worked with any radioactive clocks. Nothing like that. Yes, I'm glad to hear that, Cynthia. I hope you do. And Hope, thank you for that. You know, I'm finding, Hope, I want to tell you that I think this visage that you're looking at here on your device, however you're seeing me right now, is pretty much how I look in real life. But I do think that TikTok puts a little butter in it. I do. I think they do. For whatever reason, I think it smooths you a little bit. Even though there's not a filter here, I do think that there's a little smoothing going on here. Not that I'm Quasimodo when this camera's off. Trust me, if you came to my house and rang the doorbell, you wouldn't scream. You would know who I am. So, but I appreciate that. This wire is already on the chandelier. I'm sorry, already on the wall sconce. This is dollhouse, 12-volt dollhouse lighting. Yeah, we all do. And I do put equivalent to some butter on my face every single day. It's not butter, but it's, product that hopefully will keep me moisturized. And I've told you guys on here before that I drink a lot of water. I've done it since my 30s. I start every single morning with a massive container of very cold water. And that's the very first thing that goes in my face. The entire thing is, I can drink that whole thing in one gulp because I've been doing it for, 30 years. But that's the first thing I do. And then I have coffee, and then I work out, and then I have breakfast. That's what I've been doing since my 30s. I got, in 1990s, I gained about 35, 40 pounds when I was in my early 30s. And do you remember the Nordic Track skier? That thing? You get on that thing and ski. I bought one of those, and because back then I wasn't making a lot of money, and that thing cost so much money, and it was such an investment that I had to make myself get on that Nordic Track. It could not be a clothing rack, and so I put it in the master bedroom, or primary bedroom as we say now, and I got on that thing and I could only do 3 minutes. I was dying 3 minutes, and I told myself, do 3 minutes. So I did 3 minutes every day. Then I think I can do 4. I did 4, and pretty soon I was doing 30 minutes a day. It took a while, but I got to 30 minutes. I lost about 35 pounds. All the weight that I gained, I lost. And I kind of learned my lesson then about maintaining, trying to keep up with it. I've gained and lost. I go up to over 200, and then I lose the weight again. And it's just like I think it's just a matter of keeping balance, so that keeping up with it. So that's been part of the things that I've done to not to increase the number of years I'm on the planet, but to make the quality of the ones I am here better, so that I can feel good, and that I don't have headaches, and I don't feel sluggish, and I don't feel tired. That's why even this morning, when it's 15 degrees, I'm down here, my treadmill's right next to me. I'm on this treadmill for 30 minutes. And someone here on TikTok was messaging me this morning, and I said, I need to go have my near-death experience now. I got to run. And I call it that because sometimes I'm on that thing and I'm heaving, I'm like, oh my God, I had that, but it is, I call it near-death jokingly, but it is fun. Yeah. But that is just how I do it, so I can feel good. I think that I don't want to have headaches. I think that's more than anything else, is I just want to feel okay. And one of the ancillary benefits of doing that is that because you're moving your body, and I know I'm just going on and on here, I apologize. You're moving your lymph. The lymph system, the lymphatic system, the interstitial fluid cannot move except by skeletal muscle work. I can say this because I took all my prereqs for nursing school, got into nursing school, but didn't go. I made lighting instead. That's part of my story. But moving your body is the only way to get the interstitial fluid to move around in your body, and that's cleaning your system. So imagine that your body's a sponge, and you're just squeezing it and moving about the fluid, and you're squeezing in the water you drank, you're squeezing out the toxins, you're really creating good color for your face. You're doing that as well. The other thing that I do, and I recommend it if you can stomach it, is beta carotene is a really good thing. So part of my daily routine during the week, not on the weekends, but during the week, I have pre-cooked sweet potatoes. I put like about a half a sweet potato in my Vitamix, a handful of spinach, fresh spinach, and a handful of baby carrots, a little protein powder, and and about 8 ounces of water, and I just hit the shake button on my Vitamix and make this green baby food shake. It's about that much in a glass, and I drink that every day. Beta carotene is really good for your body. It's actually good for your skin tone, and eventually you'll turn kind of an orange tone, but looks a little like a tan. Am I orange? Anyway, I recommend it. Thank you, Jen. And I appreciate you guys being here. My lecture, thank you for joining the lecture, and 88 people are still in the classroom, so I appreciate that. I know on one of my lives, I went on and looked at my thing, and there was like 50 people in the room. 30 people had ran out the door. So sorry. Yes, sir. Alan, you're good, because on the weekends, I like to do my fun food. So yesterday it was cold. And so I said to the spouse, I'm going to make some grits. And I told you guys yesterday how I add protein to grits. And I'm from the South. I'm a grit-eating crazy person. So I made grits, but there's a lot of carbs. So I don't do those very often. But I did do my grits yesterday. And that's what I had for breakfast. This morning, it was scrambled eggs with spinach. Just put some fresh spinach into your scrambled eggs, cook them in, so you just kind of a little wilted into your spinach. And I did eat a blueberry muffin top that was homemade here at the house yesterday. So it's cold, and it's an excuse to eat stuff like that, but I don't recommend it all the time, because pretty soon you got to deal with it down here. You're going to be trying to put it in your jeans, and muffins don't look good in your jeans. They always look so good on the plate, and they're so delicious, but 6 weeks later, you're like trying to pull your pants up, and it's like, that muffin just doesn't look as good on my butt as it looked on the plate. So that, my friends, is how I manage it. Did I run off any students? No, I actually attracted students. 16 people joined the class because I was talking about muffins. Who knew? Muffins have power. So guys, if you're joining, Artful Roger here just installed the wall sconce on here, and my wiring is there. So that's how I do it. Let me show you. See that? Oh yeah, I'm gonna laugh a minute. So let me put it back together so we can see what the wall sconce looks like, because I'm curious. So I'm gonna put the floor back in. Do not roll your eyes. I saw that. I saw you rolled your eyes, because you've seen this so many times. So there's the floor. I'm gonna put in the sidewall. I'm going to put in the corner. And I think that's all I'm going to deal with right now. So, yeah, there you can see it. So you see the corner in there. Let me put this back in. I can't see it. Is it? Let's see. There it is. Yeah. So there it is by the fireplace. I can move it on the other end too, but the Christmas tree is going to be on the other end. So there's the wall sconce, which will be right there by the fireplace. You can see it. There's a chandelier coming that's right here. You know what? Roasted coyote. I'm sorry you're roasted, but look, you missed it. But I did a live where I made a cheesecake in the kitchen, and I can do a live about those muffins for sure, because they're really good. It's just a basic muffin recipe with all from scratch, but with a poo-poo load, as they say, of fresh blueberries, which bake it into a muffin top pan. Not a muffin pan, but a muffin top pan. I'm sure you guys know the difference if you bake, but nobody likes the muffin. Everybody wants the muffin top, so let's just make muffin tops, which are just, those blueberries explode inside the dough, which is just amazing. Okay, and here's the shake, okay? It's a Vitamix, 8 ounces of cold water, plain old water. You can use the juice. I was using like a pureed kale, but what it is, okay, let me, before I tell you the recipe, let me tell you something. We all have, please go and look at my history, by the way, and look at Mary Oliver's poem that I posted. Mary Oliver reads a poem, Among the Trees. I posted it yesterday because I just think her voice is so amazing and her poetry is just so incredibly deep. But listen to what she says about intuition and who we are as people. I think we all have it. I think it's all in us, this intuitive sense. And I have lived by my intuition. I really have since I was a little kid. That sounds like I'm really boasting, but I'm really not. I just really have this innate sense that I'm very aware of my inner voice. I'm really aware, not as somebody talking to me. I said that to a therapist once and told me I was bipolar. Because I said, no, it's not, I'm not hearing a voice. I'm just saying it's my inner knowing. It's like a voice, but that's what I'm telling you now. It's intuition. I was having some dental work done a year ago in the dental chair, and the dentist and the hygienist were having a conversation over my head, not above where I could understand, but just literally over my head. And the hygienist was saying that she did this every day, what I'm about to tell you. And as soon as I heard what she said, I knew innately it's exactly what I needed to do. I wasn't feeling exactly right. And I thought that it just came to me. It's like, do that. You need to do that. You heard that because you need to do it. So here's what I do. Vitamix, 8 ounces of cold water in the Vitamix. I've already pre-cooked fresh sweet potatoes. So I scrub those potatoes. I put them in the microwave for like 10 minutes and cook them. And then they just, once they cool off, they go in a bowl, they go in the fridge. So I eat, that's usually typically 3 regular sweet potatoes I eat over the course of a week. Take out the sweet potato. I cut off like maybe a little bit, half a sweet potato, throw that into the Vitamix, into the water. Then I put in a handful of fresh spinach, sometimes a handful of fresh kale, a handful of baby carrots, protein powder, just plain old unflavored protein powder, goes into that, and put the lid on it and hit the shake button on your Vitamix, and it turns it into what's equivalent to what it reminds me of is baby food. If you ever open a can of baby food, it looks like that. It's green. If I don't put in the spinach, it's orange. But it tastes like a garden. I drink that every day. I've been doing it for almost a year. I feel so good after I do that. I really do. It just, in a few minutes later, it's just like it's energy. I don't understand what it is, but there's beta carotene in that and all kinds of good things, I believe. It's all fresh, and it's lots of fiber for your body as well. So I like it. I was using in the beginning a flavored juice, because I try to avoid the sugar in the morning, so I get headaches from it if I do sugar in the morning. But I was using a flavored juice in there just to give it a little bit of flavor. You can use pineapple juice or something if you need that. But I've gotten to the point where water works for me. I can deal with it because I like the taste of the carrots and all that stuff that are in it. Yeah. You saw the poem. Yeah, it is beautiful. Yes, very good. Oh, it is. So you're getting that too. So intuitively you feel it. I'm glad to hear it. I do. Yes, I do. Organic vegetables, I do. They're a little more expensive, but sometimes organic's not available, like especially, because of COVID and supply chain, whatever. I don't always do that, but when I can, I do it. Yes. The thing about spinach too, it's fresh spinach. You have to eat that stuff pretty quickly. It can't stay in the fridge very long because it turns into slime really fast. So you've got to get moving on it. So that isn't a way to keep going. And if you don't like the sweet potato as much, you can add more spinach to it and more kale, but you just kind of find a balance for yourself and what's good. I haven't tried other vegetables in it yet, but I'm sure you probably could throw in something else and get a different flavor, but I wouldn't do any. Celery, yes. Celery juice, yes, celery juice is good. I was using celery juice for quite some time actually, as in place of my water, but I eventually stopped using that. I didn't see a lot of nutritional benefit in the celery juice, just a flavor. And I thought, if I'm only using it for flavor, why do the work? I'll just use water. So that's what I do. But yeah, intuition, I think it's in there. I think we have an inner knowing. And that's what Mary Oliver's poem is about intuition, I think, and what she says about us as people. Yeah, that she had lost sight of the person that walks slowly through the world and notices things and bows, to things of nature. I saw another one where it was an Indian man that was talking about what if we treated the world that we experience and the people that we experience as if they were God, that all of this that is around us is God too, and that if we had a reverence and treated it with that kind of respect that we would have for God, I guess, and I'm not espousing religion here, but how different the world would be treating each other that way. So, yeah. The tree poem is awesome. Happy Saturday to you, too. Thank you. Who took salad spinach and froze it when she got it home instead of freezer. Oh, instead of the refrigerator, she did that, yeah. I don't want to deal with frozen. William, I missed your comment with frozen spinach is slimy. Yeah, I like it crispy. Your favorite gardener. It's sunny there. Okay, you must be speaking with someone else. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up your comments. When I start rambling with my dissertation here, giving you guys your lecture, I stare off into space like this, and then I'm not looking at your comments. And plus, my monitor pooped out on me. New technology is on the way. It'll be here today. So hopefully whatever the new one is will not just stop working in the middle. I read the reviews finally on Amazon about this device. And it said, this thing is great, but it just stops working in the middle. Well, that's the experience I'm having too. So guys, I think that's looking pretty good. We've got, we've got our little sconce in there. I think it's going to be super pretty, you know, when we get going. This is coming along. Because I screwed up my, with my polyurethane, I'm going to have to do it again. Lemon is a good idea. I haven't tried that, but because you said it, Alan, I likely will squeeze some lemon into the one I make in the morning. Monday morning is back to the grind, back to the work grind, and I'll be doing it then. The fireplace is looking pretty good. I think this will look nice. I decided, I did a little blackening here, but I'm not going to mess with this up here. I think what I may do, let me show this to you. I try to work with all of this stuff before I put it into the house, put it together. Yeah, I'll show it to you. So this little mirror, I think, is going to go here, like so, and then I'll put some stuff. There's my phone, see? Look at that. It's infinity, guys. Look. It's infinity. You see my hand? Look at that. So anyway, yeah, so that's what I'm going to do with that. That's a good idea too, Alan. I may start with a little bit of lemon peel and see what happens. Yeah, the fireplace is coming along. It is. This mirror, I just realized the back's falling out. Let me put that to the side. So the flooring, let me show that to you. In case you missed this part, the wiring I put up through the middle, so it's not on the back side, it's just in there. That's so it's fully hidden. It's in-wall wiring, just like your house. And here's the, you're asking about the flooring. That's the front side. This is just a piece of foam core with wood glued on top, and I've used shoe polish to stain it, and there's the 3 diodes. And they're just coming through. They're hot glued into place. They have the capacitor is right here because, and they're already kind of put, these wire nuts are too big, but I just put this together so I can play with it and turn it on, look at it, so I can see what the fireplace is going to look like. But those diodes are back in the back of the fireplace, and I'll be bending them forward a little bit so that they kind of point outward and light up the stuff. Yeah, definitely can do that. The peel and all can go in, yeah. But it may be too lemony for me, you know, if I put that much in there. So I might do a half a lemon or a part of it to see if I like it. I don't want to mess up my whole drink, that I won't drink it. Someone was suggesting something else was gold. What part? We've got this in gold. If you look at the old video after this live is over, you'll see what these look like before they were marbleized from back in the day, and they were not very pretty. So that's why I painted them gold. You're suggesting something else gets gold. The raised detail on the front of the clock, make that gold? You mean, oh, this stuff, this scroll work here? And that, if you're talking about this kind of cut, is cut into the wood. And I was going to put a wax on there, a gold wax, and try to bring that out, but it was going to mess up the entire face. So I wasn't able to do it. But if that's what you're talking about. And if I went and tried to hand paint that and follow, it's going to look very homespun and crooked and not look right. I think it's prettier just like it is. You can, after the light's catching it a little bit, you can see it, yeah. Well, there's the heart or whatever that is on there. And then I've got these. I showed these to you yesterday. These came off of an antique dresser, but I'm going to be using these on the side like that, which I think you guys all agreed yesterday that this is fantastic. You like these things. Here's the other one. I'm not going to paint them. I'm going to leave it like that. And there's a finial that goes on top as well. It's this one. Will be on there eventually with another piece. So kind of comes together. Thanks, Mary. Mary Dawn. Mary Dawn, is Mary Dawn your whole name, like Mary Alice or Mary Ann? Or are you just Mary? Yes, I'm glad you like those. Yeah, they're the little handles or pulls. Yeah, I call them pulls because it's a drawer pull. But yeah, the handles, my handles are right here. Oh, the diodes, you can get those on eBay. Yeah, these are 12 volt I wish I had the packaging. I think they're 4 millimeter diodes and they're 12 volt. The good thing about these is they already have the capacitor built in, so you don't have to deal with all those little tiny trying to solder on capacitors, which on some of my micro LEDs, I have to do that. And a capacitor is it's like a little, looks like a little, it's like inside of an old transistor radio. It just helps, I think it breaks down the current to the diode so it doesn't burn it out. The other thing I was going to tell you, hold please, I'm going to go grab this. I did a video about this, so if you're curious and want more detail, go back and look at my history. But this is a transformer that I use. Here is the, I forget what kind of plug this is called on here, but it plugs in right here. Okay, and then there'll be wires underneath and inside that will connect here. So that's this. It's very important that if you're dealing with 12 volt lighting for doll houses, make sure when you look at this little label here that it is an output of 12 volts. Okay, you also want to pay attention to the amps. Do not get one that has 12 amps. You can't plug in a 12 volt transformer from your converter like this from your laptop with, you know, or it's a 24 volt. It have the same connector on it. You're going to burn all your LEDs out. So you're going to be using a 12 volt deal like this, and you have to look at what the output is, and you need to pay attention to amps. This one is 500 milliamps. That's half an amp. 1000 milliamps is an amp. Okay, so you can use a 1000 milliamp or 1 amp 12 volt, but I use a 500 milliamp. If I'm working strictly with LEDs, I'm sorry, my brain is going, my mind is going another way. So I want to make sure that I'm clear with you guys. 500 milliamps is fine for LEDs because they don't use very much energy at all. Those diodes, those little tiny diodes, are barely pulling anything at all. So this works fine. If you're going to be using incandescent lights, which is this one is incandescent. These are not LED, these are incandescent. Incandescents are going to pull a little more energy. So sometimes I'll step it up to a 1 amp transformer. This one, I'm going to try a 500 milliamp on it, and if this thing gets too warm and I don't feel good about it, I'll put a 1000 milliamp on there instead. So that's very important. Years ago, I had some work of mine at a local shop here in Atlanta, a place where it was left there, and it was on a table, really nice, beautiful place, but on a table and unattended. You know, I wasn't there, and there wasn't a docent or anyone there to take. There was a clerk or somebody who worked in there and would ring up purchases. I had taken a vintage sprinkler, a garden sprinkler, one of those fan sprinklers, and I had converted it to LED. And so it had all these acrylic rods across it, and all the acrylic rods changed colors. So it was an old sprinkler that was from somebody's yard, and it was now LED. So you could put that on your table, and you had this beautiful spray. It looked like water shooting up, and it was LEDs lit up. There were bubbles in the acrylic rods. So it was really cool. I loved it. I went down there to check on it one day, and the bottom of the acrylic rods were all brown. They were burned. And when I looked at the transformer, it said Gateway on it. It was somebody's laptop. Somebody had stolen my amperage, my properly amped piece like this, and had replaced it with their Gateway computer, or with a Gateway computer thing, which burned all of the LEDs up. It just cooked it, fried it, basically, almost set it on fire. And so that's how I learned my lesson about these. You have to be really careful. So when I make these things, and I'll show you really quickly, I'll be right back. I showed this to you yesterday. This is one of my older creations, but this one also has the same transformer involved. When I do it now, if this one was for sale, I put a warning label on it. Not that that's going to stop anyone, but at least it's one deterrent to help a person avoid sizzling everything inside this, because I will fix something for someone who purchases it from me, but I don't like doing it because it requires that I take everything apart and have to get inside of it again and put it together. So you have to be really careful on that. So Dawn is your middle name. So you don't live in life as Mary Dawn. You live in life as Mary. I got it. you need one of these little cabinets for your living room like this kind of thing. Yeah, this one's really cool when it's illuminated, and it too, you just plug in to the back. It has the port as I showed you. It has the port on the back. This one's signed Ben Cliff because this was made by under my other art name, Ben Cliff. So, oh, your family does call you Mary Dawn. Yeah, I worked with the Mary Claire years ago, and I always loved her name. I thought it was awesome. It's before I'd had all of my children, but I did not name any of my girls Mary anything. Their names are not two named people. It's very Southern. Mary Claire, Mary Dawn, Mary Brooks, Mary Frances. So the parts, you mean the old vintage parts, William? Yes, Mary Dawn, I love your name. I'm voting for Mary Dawn everywhere you go. Live your life as Mary Dawn. William, are you asking about the vintage parts or are you asking about the electrical parts? Oh, the ports, not parts, ports. Got it. The ports are, my gosh, I'm trying to remember where I buy the ports. Probably. There's a lot of Chinese manufacturers that sell on eBay. And so you can get those ports because they're selling them in massive lots. You can buy 50 of them instead of buying one for $2.99 somewhere. You can buy 50 of them for $3.99. So I typically buy them in bags. Unfortunately, I would be going back and forth to my other studio over here to grab stuff to show it to you, but they're in little Ziploc bags. But yeah, look on, I forget what this is called. You probably want to research this thing. I apologize. I don't remember the name of this, but it has a name. You probably already know what it is, but you can look for this and the ports. And so those, they're easy to install. As you can see, there it is. This one's raised. I had to put it in there differently. It's in backwards. The other one is done properly. What happens trying to use ports is like, I'm looking for a place to put a port. You can see how thick this wood is. It was too thick. These are really made to fit into like a piece of sheet metal. So I had to kind of be creative, and I used a little bit of super glue to make it get super tight so it won't fall out. Jackie, which one? This one? Yeah, William, good luck. I hope you work it out. I learned all this stuff on my own, and I also spent a good bit of time. I have in the past spent a good bit of time on YouTube because there's a lot of people like me who make things, and they'll make YouTube videos about it and show you how to do it, and it's super easy to do a lot of this stuff. But you'll learn by doing, of course. So Jackie, you must have been talking about the one I just was held into my hands earlier, which is not a clock. It's an old clock case or clock cabinet that had nothing in it when I found it. I'm a sucker for these things when I see them out when I'm antiquing. If I see this on a shelf, I have to grab it because I just love this little, I want to build in these things. Oh, yeah. Hang on. This one. Yeah. Guys, hang on one second. Jackie, if you like this one, hang on, let me show you something else. So here's another one, and I had this one for a long time too. And you can see I blew out the face, but this one is all lit up inside. You can see there's like a world in there. I don't know how much of that you guys can see, but this one is illuminated to look like a stage in there, like stage lighting. Do you see the tiny clock down inside there? It's this clock in miniature with the face blown out. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, I think you can. So there's that clock. This clock, the clock you're looking at, is right there, blown out face. So it's one of those, like a Russian doll effect. You're out here, you're looking at this, you're looking in there, you see the clock, so you can imagine that there's another little clock and another little clock, and it just gets smaller and smaller. Yeah, this thing I made last year, there's a video in my history here on TikTok, so you can see it illuminated and see what it looked like as I was building it. But again, here's the port on the back that operates all the LEDs. I had a good bit of input from you guys here on TikTok on how to illuminate this. So people said at the beginning, you go back and look at the history, because I think there's like 3 videos, and you see the first one I show when it's in a mock-up stage, and people tell me it looks like a set from Sesame Street. So I put some gels, literal gels, like you would use for theater lighting, on top of the LED diodes to change the color a little bit, so it created more of a stage effect. And you'll see in the comments how people started to approve it, and that's how this piece was born. This is a clock cabinet that I had in my collection for a long time, years probably, and finally something happened. So there's the on-off switch for that right here on the front. And if you're interested further, in my video history, which it's way up on the high level of this house. I don't want to go up and get it, but I've got one that is another clock cabinet similar to this one that has little dancers from the 1950s. So it was a music box of a couple dancing in a tuxedo and a dress that was in a little broken plastic wind-up toy that I took out, and I built them a little dance floor inside. And so if you look at that video, you'll see them dancing. I think it's even in my Christmas history. I did it with one of my Christmas trees, so you can watch the dancers doing their little dangly leg dance inside the clock cabinet. You did see it, Henry? Yeah, those are awesome. Yeah, and I think if you've been following me, you guys have seen the dancers. The dancers are a huge hit. That piece took about 18 months to complete. People ask me, I want to make one of those. Let me tell you guys, that was the hardest thing I've ever done. I had a dream one night, I'm not joking. I had the clock cabinet down here. I had it for about 7 years. That's how long the clock cabinet sat on the inspiration shelf. And I had a dream, and those dancers were in the cabinet, and it was New Year's Eve. And I woke up that next morning, and I'm like, come Hades or high water, I'm going to be building this clock. I'm putting dancers in there. And if you look on eBay for those little dancers, they're like $400 to buy those dancers. They're super expensive music boxes. And for whatever happened that day, somebody had posted one for starting bid $4.99. It was in plastic. It was like a carnival giveaway plastic one with a little lady in a purple dress and the man's in a black tux. And I saw it. So I put it on my watch list, and lo and behold, I won it. Just so happened that those little dancers in the plastic, the way the plastic came apart, I was able to fit them into that music box that you see now, into that clock cabinet. I used an old clock face as the dance floor. I used some chain beads around their feet. You'll see that on there. I mirrored the back. A lady on eBay who makes little chandeliers out of jewelry. She made a little dangly pendant that has an LED in it that hangs over them. It just was magical. It just happened. And I ask myself sometimes, why do I have these compulsions to make these things? And then they just come to life. Things happen. Miraculous things happen with this stuff that I do. I don't know why. And I don't know where these things will ultimately end up. Somebody may purchase this someday. I don't know. I made it. It's finished and it's here. I don't know what the point of it is. Which reminds me of something here. I don't know if this gentleman's on the live today, but I showed you guys a piece of an old clock. I have the front of an old clock. I showed it to you yesterday. This person reached out to me this morning and said, I think I have the back to that clock face. What are the chances? If that clock back fits onto that face of this Bizarro clock piece that I have, again, it's called a Christmas miracle, because it's yet another, to me, they're signposts. For myself, and like I said, we all have intuition. It's a signpost that I'm on the right road, that these magical things unfold as they go. And if we had time, maybe that's what my live will be on Tuesday night. We'll talk about miracle signposts and the magical things that happen when doors open and we walk. We walk fearlessly in that direction. Fear holds us back. I'm going to bring my book, I think, to the next live. It's called Feel the Fear, Do It Anyway. It's by Susan Jeffers. It was a transformative book for me back in the early 90s. I found it in a bookstore, and I'll explain all to you how that happened and how I lived with books and music for some time that were inspiration pieces and signposts that kind of led me along. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That said, being on TikTok, doing this live today, being here, pushing the button that says go live, I am terrified every single time that I push that button. Every time that I come in here, I set this phone up and it sits there for like 10 minutes, or the camera sets up in there and I'm sitting there for 10 minutes. I'm looking at it, I'm going, I can't. I don't want to push that button. And it goes 3, 2, 1, you're live. And I'm on. I'm doing this. Why am I on TikTok? I do not know. It feels like a door open and I'm just going in this direction. I've met so many people like yourselves. There are people in this live right now that have become near and dear to me in this, as I call it, a 2D world. So I'm very appreciative of those relationships. It has been a breath of fresh air. It's been magical. And I think there's a lot of magic to come. When that gentleman sent me that note this morning and said, I think I have the back to that clock, when I finished the message, I thought to myself, this is amazing. This is just amazing. And I'm only here temporarily, like we all are. You know, we're just passing through. And guess what? If nothing bad happens to this, this will be here after I'm gone. Somebody's going to have this down the road and not know who made it. They're going to look at it and go, "This says Bencliffe on it. There's my art's name on there, and it's signed." But they won't know anything more than that. They won't know that I ever existed. So interesting. Thank you, Mary Dawn. I appreciate that. And Alan, I appreciate you as well. So yes. A lot has been said. I tend to wax all kinds of ways out here and start blabbing on my mouth about all kinds of things, but I'm glad you guys hang around and stick with me on this. I appreciate your support. I don't think that I'll be doing another live this weekend because right now I have to go do some running around in errands. I don't want to do it. It's so cold, but I'll be out there. Yes. Jody, thank you so much. I really do. And I'm glad that you guys are here. User 7635, I'm about to wrap up because I've been on here for a little over an hour, and I told myself I wouldn't be on here for 2.5 hours like I was yesterday because I just get on here and keep going, but I just really enjoy it, and I know people are probably just popping into my live and don't know what's going on, and we won't start from the beginning. But again, next live is more than likely going to be Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. So if you guys can, or Eastern Time, if you guys can make it, I hope you can. I think I am going to bring the Susan Jeffers book about fear and about being on the right road and our own inspiration. Maybe we'll use the Mary Oliver poem as a springboard. There's some things to share, things to talk about. And when I'm sitting in my live studio, I'm actually right there with my laptop so I can really see your comments and we can really interact personally. I'm not here distracted with stuff like I am here at this table. Guys, go forth. Enjoy the remainder of your weekend. I hope wherever you are that you can keep warm and stay comfortable. I really do appreciate you guys. I sincerely mean that. So thank you guys. Henry, take care of yourself. Goodbye, Grandma Double D's. I know what that means. Take care of those too. See ya. You guys take care.